The Spotlight on the South by Donald Davidson, Critics' Almanac, June 2nd, 1929. In the past few years, a change full of meaning has come over the great national magazines, like Harper's, Scribner's, and The Atlantic. They have almost entirely lost their earlier character as media for art. The best poets and the best novelists, unless lured to the Cosmopolitan by Mr. Hearst's dollars, simply wait for book publication as the only means of reaching an audience, or if they are lucky enough to break into the magic circle, the poets may find a way into a liberal weekly like the New Republic, or if they are more experimental, they may try the more chilly and charmed circle of the Dial, or one of the fly-by-night magazines that sporadically appear and vanish. But the loss of distinguished creative art to the sober ministers of our culture is made up for in a new direction. These tremendous monthlies, with their hundreds of thousands of devoted readers, the cream of American civilization, we have no doubt, have made themselves over into organs of opinion and controversy. Here, and not as of old, in the newspapers, do the burning questions of the day get their frankest and most thorough discussion. The giants of politics, science, business history, and even that but lately hushed and obscure sister, philosophy, stalk forth in full armor into the public arena and let fly their weapons. One fine and ambitious magazine, The Forum, makes a specialty of mortal combats, its successive issues being mainly a series of bloody duels between notables on every imaginable problem, from the religion of Al Smith to the structure of the atom. The artists, too, are in these pages, but except in rare instances, which one suspects are a sop to tradition, not in the role of artists. They, too, are ready with arguments and explanation, having often as much to do with politics as with literature. They have gone from art to articles. Take as a particularly exciting instance the still unsolved problem of the relation of the Southern states to the rest of the Union, a problem that keeps bobbing up defiantly, and that still survives the decision of arms, which, it was once thought, settled things eternally. In The Southern Legend in the May Scribners, Mr. Howard Mumford Jones of the University of North Carolina deals briefly but pertinently with the matter of sectionalism. Southern sectionalism lasts quite obstinately, and not altogether harmfully, he points out, for the plain reason that Northerners enforce it on the South by their persistent ignorance and misunderstanding. With delightful irony, he pictures the items of Northern ignorance. On the unfavorable side, to Northern eyes, the South is a kind of immensely extended and rural Chicago. It is the land of lynchings, Ku Klux Klan, Knight Rider, Mountain Feud, voodoo murder, and fundamentalism. And strangely mixed with this dark picture is the curious romantic one, quite complimentary but equally overdrawn, of a land that is always afternoon, where platoons of perpetually grinning darkies line up in the cotton fields prepared to bust out with "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" the moment a white man appears, or where the simple Southern Highlanders converse in sentences impartially compounded of hit, you-uns, and tote, feeding their babies on moonshine liquor and shooting at everything in sight with a rifle that saw service at Kings Mountain. The real South, which is neither so bad nor so picturesque, is left out of the picture. Nobody knows what is going on in the cultural life of the South today, and the most remarkable development in contemporary American civilization, this renaissance of the South, is by and large ignored. Then, Southern sectionalism is about the only defense which the progressive can turn to. Mr. John Crow Ransom of Vanderbilt University tackles the matter from a different angle, and his essay and Mr. Jones's admirably supplement each other. In The South Defends Its Heritage, in the June Harpers, he offers what might be called a philosophy of Southern life, dealing with the whole question thoroughly and emphatically, and speaking his heresies against blind progress with such persuasive sincerity that he might be given as the finest available example of the deliberate sectionalism that Mr. Jones notes as necessary. The South differs from the rest of the country, Mr. Ransom says, in that it has developed and maintained over a very long period a seasoned provincial life of its own, whereas the rest of the country has succumbed very rapidly to the influences of our urbanized, anti provincial, progressive, and mobile American life that is in a condition of eternal flux. This typical Southern life is, according to his view, European in its quality, since its main feature is stability. There are a good many faults to be found with the Old South, but hardly the fault of being intemperately addicted to work and gross material prosperity. The Southerner never conceded that the whole duty of man was to increase material production, or that the index to the degree of his culture was the volume of his material production. His business seemed to be rather to envelop both his work and his play with a leisure that permitted the activity of intelligence. But after having formed its own way of life, a way which, despite disasters and deficiencies, offers a fair and continuable tradition, with much promise in it still, the South finds itself facing a new hazard, which Mr. Ransom does not hesitate to define. It is industrialism, which in its eternal flux represents a principle not native to this section. Granting that industrialism is inevitable, the question is whether the South will permit herself to be so industrialized as to lose entirely her historic identity, or will accept industrialism, but with a very bad grace, and will manage to maintain a good deal of her traditional philosophy. Mr. Ransom unequivocally favors making a fight for the latter alternative. He proposes two definite means of action. One would be to rouse the sectional feeling of the South to its highest pitch of excitement in defense of all the old ways that are threatened, and to represent industrialism as a foreign invasion of Southern soil, which is capable of much more devastation than was wrought when Sherman marched to the sea. But such a course is hardly handsome enough for the best Southerners. Its methods are too easily abused. The other course, then, is for the South to re-enter the political field with a determination and an address quite beyond anything she has exhibited during her half-hearted national life of the last half-century. And her political program, in consonance with her traditional stability, would be agrarian, joining hands with the agrarian forces of the West, and perhaps even reviving the Democratic Party. All I can do, in lack of space for discussion, is to urge the readers of this page to study Mr. Jones's and Mr. Ransom's articles in their entirety, the one for the satisfaction it will give their often sorely wounded spirits, the other for its wise analysis of the fundamentals of Southern life, and its bold challenge to all of us not merely to think about our Southern life and our native traditions, as Stark Young not long ago urged us to do, but to act. It is hard, after being quickened in ardor by two such essays, to drop to the flat level of reproach. Yet I cannot but reflect with some melancholy that there is no common medium of expression, reaching the general body of Southerners and drawing them together in the consideration of the peculiar sectional problems. Mr. Ransom and Mr. Jones had to go to New York to get their articles published, if they wished to reach any but a very small audience. And these same great magazines, which correctly judging the national pulse to be throbbing, at least momentarily, with interest in all things Southern, gave these two authors space, will on some tomorrow present, with admirable catholicity, the direct opposite of all that our two authors stand for, and the hundreds of thousands of readers racing nervously from contemporary problems to contemporary problems, learning the mystery of glands, exploring the intricacies of Einstein, getting acquainted with Mussolini, delving into the sociology of crime, and occasionally slicing into a story by Hemingway or Callaghan as one tastes a pickle for its sour contrast. We'll simply continue to do that and nothing more. We thank our stars, of course, that the awe inspiring monthlies are public minded, but we are scared to death of their terrific program of ideas all the same. I wish profoundly, like a foolish sectional Southerner devoted to the old home place, that there were something nearer home, if less efficient and famous, a general periodical with a definite policy to give us some feeling of consistency and safety. The Southern Review, edited by Charles Pipkin, Cleanth Brooks, and Robert Penn Warren, began publication in Baton Rouge in July of 1935.